Hello, everybody, and welcome back to a Slice, Spice, and Dice movie reviews. Now, today we're talking about the movie Obsession. This is a 2026 movie. It was in the theaters, obviously. That's where I saw it originally, and then it trickled its way down until now it's on Peacock. And I watched it again last night. Okay, so that being said, I haven't been here for a minute, but I love this movie so much. I was like, let me dust off the movie review channel and come back over here. So, the way that I'm going to structure this, and this is what I typically like to do moving forward, is I'm going to make it very obvious when we enter into spoiler alert zone. So, this first part, when we begin talking about the movie, will be in very generic terms, that type thing. Nothing that you want to get from maybe the trailer and that type thing, but more than that, just did it make me put my phone down, that type vibe. Now, also, if you do follow me, then you'll know I have true crime channels. That's the majority of where my time is spent. And I love horror films, I love scary movies, I love thrillers, and I love talking about them, but I just don't have the time. And I'm usually like, I don't have time to edit, so I can't make a film or a video or review or whatever. So what I'm going to do is we're going back to basics. I'm using my iPhone. We're recording. It's a one shot Johnny kind of a thing, and that's it. And that's kind of how I'll structure this channel going forward because it's the easiest, quickest way for me to do something. And then my mind doesn't build it up like it has to be this grand 10-minute edited review and blah, 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 blah. Like, I love talking about these films and telling you about cool things that I've seen. So, that being said, let's go ahead and get into no spoiler review. Like I said, the movie is called Obsession, and I actually have my other phone here to get these names right. So, it's directed by Curry Barker, and it stars Michael Johnston and Indy Navarrete. Okay, now I don't get into too technical kind of stuff like, it was co-produced by this and that unless it really calls for it. So overall, amazing movie. Now I will say trigger warning. This movie hits on so many themes of DV, abusive situations and relationships, et cetera, et cetera. So I've a lot of people that I've talked to are like, oh, whoa, that movie like really pushed buttons at me. Also, it is very gory at times and just kind of a grotesque type film, but we're not talking about Terrifier level or whatever. But just know that those are two things. If it's not your vibe, it will probably bother you. The acting, y'all, it's amazing. These actors and actresses are awesome. The storyline, it is awesome. The cinematography, it is great. It has this just very dark, almost like you've entered into this late night, I don't know, world that you're just like, how did I end up here? It gives me memories of being young when TV didn't run 24 hours a day and that like 3 o'clock in the morning energy, that type of thing. And there's this, and I don't know the right word for this, but it conjures up this sense of dread throughout it that never leaves. And I absolutely love that when a film does it. Now, it makes me uncomfortable, right? But not so uncomfortable that I'm like, oh my God. So, one of my big things with films is I'm like, did it make me put my phone down? Now, in the movie theater, obviously not, right? And then when I was watching it last night, I did pick my phone up some, but I've also seen it, but it was so uncomfortable that sometimes I needed that comfort blanket of my, the comfort zone, or you know what I'm saying, like with the phone. So it wasn't like I was like, I'm bored of this. Let me be distracted with the phone. It was like, oh my gosh, like I can't. And this is coming from somebody who knows what was going to happen for the most part, right? So if you're into those kind of vibes, 100% see this. This was a great movie to see in the theater, and then again, a great one to watch on the sofa late at night with a friend. And I was so excited to watch it with somebody who hadn't seen it. Now, I will also say this film will make you want to talk about it and unpack it and unlayer it because there's so many nuances to it. And even though it is like a horror film, a fictional movie or whatever, there's so many things that can be related to real life situations in it of like, oh my God, I kind of know somebody who was a little bit like this, or oh my gosh, how many dudes have you met that would probably have done that type stuff, right? So it is worth a watch it with people who can appreciate films that make you want to discuss them, if that makes sense. So if somebody's just into superficial slapstick kind of horror, I mean, will they enjoy this? Probably not, right? This has substance to it. Okay. So there's that. Now, so 10 out of 10, it gets a slice of spice and a dice, all that. You need to go watch it. It's on Peacock. Now we're going to enter into spoilers. So I'm going to talk very freely as if you and I just sat down on the sofa and watched this movie, okay? So count of three it begins. One, two, three. You are in spoiler zone. I'm about to ruin the movie for you, okay? So don't watch any further if you don't want to know all the major plot points. Okay, so in this movie, the dude, the main character, he is basically in love with this girl, right? And he's just like, when I say in love, like he has a crush. It's like his dream girl. They've been friends. I guess they grew up together. They all work at the same shop, this music store, whatever. And he really wants to be like, hey, I like you, but he doesn't know how. And there's all the dynamics between the friend group, right? So long story short, he goes to like this kind of Crystal Rock, that kind of vibe store, and he's going to get her something. Well, he ends up getting this thing or whatever it's called, One Wish, and you basically it makes a noise, a musical thing. You wish, and then you break it, and it casts that wish. Well, he wished, and he's like, and I don't remember the exact thing that he says, but he's like, I wish that, and I can't remember her name in the movie now, but Indy, the actress, I wish that she loved me and no one else, or basically like was in love with him, that type thing. And instantaneously, her whole demeanor changes, and she literally is just like, hey, well, I mean, I wanted to come over. I mean, can we go to your house? Well, where are you going? Well, what's going on? And it's so instant that you're just like, oh my gosh, like he was literally dropping her off, right? And then she comes back out of the house and it just has this creepy vibe. And one thing the director does good is when a lot of these shots that he does with her, where she's maybe like standing in the shadows, she looks like the character from The Ring. So it's this very creepy energy of like this almost like an evil entity has possessed her. Okay. And so there's that part, right? So he's going along with this, like, wow, she really likes me. And as a viewer, you're sitting here knowing what's going on, and like, surely he's going to catch on that his wish actually worked. Well, a couple of things go on. So, number one, she's like just all about him. Like, I want to go back to your house. Let's do this. And she's lying. She'll do anything or whatever to manipulate him for him to go back home and all this stuff or whatever, right? Okay, so what unfolds then is this insanely toxic relationship. And I said earlier where it was like, okay, you can relate to some of this, not you specifically, but people can, like, say you've been in a toxic relationship, things of this nature, right? And that's probably this is very triggering for a lot of people because this definitely has these, major DV situations and whatnot, kind of coming from both ends. Okay, so that's what takes place. She becomes this absolutely obsessed, over the top girlfriend. Now, in the beginning, it's a little bit like, this is weird and creepy. And most people, I think, would recognize it and say, surely this dude should be like, mm, something, my wish worked, but this isn't working. And I don't feel good about this. And he even does stuff like, are you sure you like me? Are you sure you this? Or blah, 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 blah. And it's like, you should know. So that's one of the things when you get into consent and like what this conjures up with that. Because for me, as this went on, you're watching him where it's just like the movie is also asking you who's victims in different situations, because on one level, like, take out his role of it and pretend like he didn't do that and that's just how she was towards him before it gets to like this very horrific level of it, right? Because I'm talking when he goes to work at one point, she pees in her pants and stands there and it looks like she just barfed all day long. His cat died, she cooks his cat and feeds it to him for lunch, and his lunch that he takes to work. I mean, it gets over the top, right? But at the core of it is this woman who, against her will, has had something cast upon her that has made her obsessed with this man, and she is trapped in her body, and her body is this vehicle of obsession. And she comes out from time to time, almost aware of what's happening and like, help me, just kill me, let me out of this, whatever. And so you're sitting here at times where it's like, oh my god, like, she's going crazy on him, because like if he won't be around her, she flips out and does wild stuff, and she'll even end up like killing one of his friends. Okay, so this is the level that it goes to. Okay, so watching that, you're like, oh my gosh. Well, at the heart of it, it's like, well, he did this to her, right? And then what happens is when the situation gets to a certain point where you're just like, I don't know. I mean, I know we're in fictional movie land here, so I don't know what you would truly do in this, because if this was not the if this was real life and it wasn't like you put a spell on her, but you just had an obsessive girlfriend like this, you would be getting police involved, you would be getting restraining orders, like this type stuff. Well, he's over here sleeping with her and taking advantage of that. And so it feels so gross because, like, again, what you for me at least, I'm curious what you think. For me, I interpreted it like she comes and goes to an awareness of being aware of what happened to her or is happening to her. And that's why she'll glitch from time to time. And so when he's sitting here and he knows damn well at a certain point that that's not her, you see what I'm saying? So he's like violating her in that way, right? And it feels so gross and so like yikes. And he even has like another male friend who is like, what's up with her? Like, well, you didn't do this because that wouldn't be good if you basically took advantage. No, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Now, on the flip side, and if you follow the Sharilla case, the Mackenzie Sharilla case, she reminds me of the clinginess and like the, what are you doing? Can I come over? Like that kind of energy. And so it also asks you to kind of look at the level of things that go on in a relationship with a partner who is incredibly codependent, very toxic in that way. And again, I'm taking a kernel of the what's being presented here in this movie. I know there's way more to it, and I'm reading way deeper into this. I apologize, just a horror film, but I mean, to me, these themes really became prevalent because I'm like, yeah, people deal with this with a partner who's so clingy and so aggressive and so like I'm going to consume you kind of a situation, right? And so it does that. So you're watching these two things pan out where it's like he's violating her. She's been forced against her will to be obsessed with him. And so you're watching that pan out and it's like he wants that, but he doesn't believe it, but then he knows better. It's so complicated, but that kind of complication when it's done correctly, which this movie does, I absolutely love, right? Because it makes you talk about it, it makes you literally conversate. Okay, so again, spoiler alerts here, whatever. As the movie progresses, and basically you find out that the only way he can get out of this is if he dies or if he gets somebody to essentially override his wish with another wish. So he tries to get his friend to do it. His friend wishes for $1 billion, right? So again, for me, it's sitting here and being like, but what friend is going to believe that that works? Because the friend's like, really? You do a wish? Okay, I want $1 billion. And then all of a sudden money dumps out, right? So he's screwed there. And so then when he decides to take his life, and I won't tell exactly how it goes down, but they did the ending so well. Um, and the way it goes down. And then I don't want to talk about the ending specifically in case you are watching. You're like, I might want to watch this now. I'll leave some things there. But the ending was done very well. It was very satisfactory. And let's talk about it, two endings. The endings of what happened to arrive at the final ending, and the final ending leaves you with such an emotional thud because you see the devastation of what he did, his selfishness, right? And you see like, oh my gosh, this all came from him being too insecure to confront his friend and say, I have feelings for you, and instead doing this thing and casting the spell on her for her to become obsessed with him, and him then taking advantage of that situation. So this is one that, when I look at it and talk to a lot of people and see comment sections of people, so many people are like, oh my God. Everybody can, I don't want to say everybody, but a lot of people can relate to it in many different levels. And to me, that means that the movie was done very well. So I am dying to see what you think of this. If you've watched it, let me know in the comment section. Let me know your thoughts. Some other movies that I'm going to be talking about that I've watched recently. Well, one that I'm thinking of is This Is Not a Test. I've watched a bunch of stuff on Shudder. Dolly, horror film, not about Dolly Parton. Um, We Will Find You, I think it was called. Yeah, I've watched so many movies recently with my hip being replaced. So yeah. Anyways, let me know what you think of this one. I want to know if you liked it, if you saw the same themes. Am I crazy? Let me know all that stuff down in the comment section, and we'll talk down there.